Hello. So, for ages now, I've wanted to compete in a readathon. It's a reading marathon with like prompts and challenges, but I haven't been able to find one that I like. And if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with Valorant. It's a video game. So I was like, maybe I can combine those things together. And that's what I did. I created my own readathon with Valorant, and basically the way it works is you have your challenges and then you have your prompts based on the agents from the game. So I'm gonna explain it really nicely and slowly. It's really late at night, so I'm trying to be as quiet as possible, but it's the 1st of May and I wanted to upload this like in the beginning of the month because I'll be doing this readathon in May because it's my birthday month. So I have my notes right here. The way this works is you have your two challenges. You have two challenges and you need to do this. Your number one is you have to pick your main. So this is like the main agent you like to play the game with. Now, this is not going to be a game. It's just like I tried to base the readathon around how the game works in real life. So in the game, you have one main agent. This is the agent you always play with. Each agent has 3 abilities and 1 ult, and all the prompts will be based on the relevance of the ability with a book prompt. And then you have 2 backups and 2 extras. So this is because you have 5 players in a game. Then your next challenge is you have to pick a map. So this can be anything. You can just look at the prompts and you pick one, because to play Valorant you have to play on a map. For this readathon, you have 3 options. On the video game, you can either play competitive, which this allows you to compete and you can get a rank, so you can have like a status. So the competitive is you have to pick a main agent and you have to complete all the prompts. Then you have to pick 2 backups with 2 prompts and 2 extras with 1 prompt and 1 map. And then you also have the option of unrated, which is only 1 main agent, 1 backup with 1 prompt, and 1 extra with 1 prompt and 1 map. Then you have Spy Crash, which is main agent with prompts only and then 1 map. So unrated is like competitive, but you just don't get ranked, so there's no pressure. And then Spy Crash is really fast rounds, so you can just practice and you have random guns and everything like that. So if you've played the game, you will know how it works. Now for all the agents and the prompts, you have your duelists, which are Jett, Reyna, Raze, Phoenix, and Yoru. Your controllers, which are Astra, Brimstone, Omen, and Viper. And then your initiators, which are Breach, Sky, and Sova. And then your sentinels, which are Cypher, Killjoy, and Sage. And then you have your maps, which are Ascent.
Girl, I'm pretty sure it's Ascent. Just a thought.
Bind, Haven, Icebox, and Split. They've also released a new one, Breeze, but I've only played 1 round on it and I made this before it was released, so I haven't really included it. You're more than welcome to come up with your own prompt. Just a thing, I'm not expecting anyone to do this with me. I just thought it would be fun because, you know, it's really exciting to me because I love both of these things, like combining reading books. It's my favorite video game. It's whatever, you can ignore this video or you can join, I don't really care. And this will be for the whole month of May, so I'm gonna be doing reading vlogs and like updating you on all the challenges I'm completing. So everything I've chosen, I have it right here. My main is Jett. I always play with Jett. I think I like her so much because of one ability, the Tailwind. It's one of my favorites, and her ult, I really like her ult, and her Cloudburst. It's just, she's very flexible, if that makes sense. Like on each map you can play to her strengths or not, you know. It's not a character that you have to be like, oh, she works better in this side of the map. She's able to adapt to all of them, and I really like that when she's in the air she floats compared to other players that just go bro. So that's why she's my favorite. And her abilities include Cloudburst, Updraft, Tailwind, and her ult is Bladestorm. For the prompt Cloudburst, it says read a book that has grey in the cover. And for this I've chosen Dark Dawn by J. Christoph. I haven't finished the series and I really need to because I love the first 2 books and it's been ages and I need to know how the trilogy concludes. Now for the Updraft, the prompt is read a book where there's a journey. So for this, I've picked These Rebel Waves. It's a pirate story. I don't know much more about it because I don't really want to get spoiled from the synopsis. I'm pretty sure there's a journey in it because it's a pirate book. So I'm really excited about that. Then next we have Tailwind, which is read a novella / short story book. And for this I've chosen The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and a bunch of other authors. I really need to get to this trilogy because I'm obsessed with Shadowhunters and this is like one of the 2 that I haven't read, so I have to do that. And then for her alt, Bladestorm, the prompt is read a book with an assassin, and for this I'm going to double it up with Dark Dawn because it is a pretty big book and in May I have a lot of assignments from uni, so I need to be smart about the books I choose to read. Now one of my backups is Viper. If I can't play with Jett, I play with Viper. She was the first agent I ever started playing with when I didn't know what abilities were and I would literally die the first 5 seconds of the game. I love Viper. She's very difficult to play with sometimes depending on the map and depending if the other team is all duelists. She works better with sentinels because she's a controller. So with sentinels, she can, while they're like being slow, she can control the environment. Like that's why she's a controller. With initiators and duelists, it's a bit more difficult, especially if it's 5 duelists in a game, and especially if the map is something like I feel like in Ascent or Ascent, whatever you want to call it, she doesn't work that well in that map compared to Icebox and Bind. It just, you have to pick and choose and you have to get adjusted to each map. So she's my backup. And for her, I need to pick 2 prompts. And for her abilities, I picked Snakebite, which is read a book that has green in the cover. And for this, I picked Stalking Jack the Ripper. This is like a murder mystery fantasy historical fiction novel. I've been waiting for ages to read it, and I really hope I get to it because it sounds right up my alley. Then I also picked her Toxic Screen because I love how it blocks everything. I hate how Phoenix can heal himself with his screen, but Viper can't. Anyway, the prompt is read a book that has at least 300 pages. And for this, I'm gonna pick Stalking Jack the Ripper again because like I said, I have a lot of assignments in May. It's also my birthday. I need to be a bit smart if I want to complete this. My second backup player is Raze. I love playing with this agent. She's really fun to play with if I can't play with Viper or Jett because I can still move around pretty fast, like with her blast packs. I love her spray. I really like it. I don't like her ult just because I've never been able to get kills with it compared to Jett and Viper. For her, I only have to pick 3 prompts, but one of my books that I've chosen can fit in a 3rd prompt, so I can just get the extra point. I picked Boombot, which is read a book with robots, and for this I'm gonna read Cinder, which is like a sci-fi retelling of Cinderella, and she's a cyborg, so that works really well. And then I picked Blast Pack, which is read a book with orange on the cover, and for this I picked Waiting for Spring volume 3 to 5. So like in the covers there's like hints of orange. I'm kind of like playing around with this one. And then for her alt, Showstopper, it's read a book with a gang of friends, and for this I could have either picked The Red Scrolls of Magic, but I'm gonna choose Waiting for Spring volume 3 and 5 because they're graphic novels. Oh, sorry, they're manga, so they're gonna be really fast to get through. Then my extras, these are the agents you would pick when your first 3 are not available, and I can play with them. I'm not an expert on them. I'm an expert on a few abilities, and so that's why I don't always pick them because one of them is really great for the team, which I'm gonna mention, and then one of them I really like because of his like 2 abilities, like the combo of his abilities. But basically Yoru, so if you've ever played with him, he has his teleporter and his flashes and his fake outs, and then his ult, which is like invisibility. With his teleporter you can just flash the opposite team and you can teleport without them seeing you, but a lot of people have gotten used to that because Ethos, he plays Valorant on Twitch and he's taught everyone this trick, even though I came up with it before I ever started watching him. I'm not saying I created it, but I'm just saying that like I learned it without him teaching it to me, but everyone else has gotten adapt to it because of him. So I've kind of stopped playing with him now with Yoru, not Ethos, imagine. With Yoru, one of his abilities is Gate Crush, so this prompt is read a book with Asian representation, and for this I've picked The Hunt the Flame because I discovered it on TikTok and I started reading like the first few chapters, and I'm really enjoying it. I've kind of stopped now with assignments, but I really want to get back into it. And then the last one, Sage. She's a healer, so she works amazing for any team you pick. And my favorite thing, which once again everyone has started doing without me like being taught by a professional player, but I always grab the spike because I'm a sentinel. So she has a wall. Her ability is called like a barrier orb. So this is a huge wall. They've nerfed it a bit, like it lasts less long as it used to. So basically I plant in a corner and I make sure that the Jett on the opposite team, if there's a Jett, is dead, or an Omen, they're both dead. And I block the spike. I can also block another one of my teammates in there with the spike, but usually it's alone, especially on Bind and Ascent and Split. It works perfect with the wall. Actually, Split only side A. I block the spike, and if all of us die, the opposite team, if they don't have an Omen who can teleport, or if they don't have a Jett who can updraft up there, they have to break the wall, which takes a few seconds, so they lose time on defusing the spike, because that's the whole point of the game. You have two teams, and you have the attacking team and the defending team, and the attacking team has a spike and they have to choose a site, and then the opposite team has to defend the site so they don't plant the spike, and if they do end up planting the spike, the opposite team has to defuse. So that's how, like, that's a brief explanation of the game. But basically for Sage, the ability I chose was Barrier Orb. So this is read a fantasy book where countries have a conflicting relationship. Basically, like any of the books I've mentioned before can go with this prompt, but I've picked Flame in the Mist by Renee Adier. This can also work for Asian representation if I don't get to We Hunt the Flame. And then the map I chose, my favorite used to be Bind. When I used to play Sage in the beginning, like it was just, I loved Bind so much, but recently I've started really liking Split because I can really work around it with Jett and Viper and Raze. Like, it's one of my favorite maps right now. So for this, because Split looks like an airport, I was like, I picked the prompt read a contemporary book, and for this I can just choose Waiting for Spring volume 3 and 5. I'm using this book for 3 prompts, which can basically be one book each because it's 3 volumes, so I can just pick one volume for each prompt. I will leave every single detail down below because I did prompts for every single agent. So it's called Valorant-athon, and you can either pick a book or a movie and a show to complete any of the prompts if you even do it. Like, I just think it's really cool, and I have all the information here. I'm gonna leave it down below. And I also wanted to show you my spreads because I did like my spreads on my journal, and they just look really, really cool. That's it for today's video. I don't really care if you don't do this. I just really want to do it, so I was just like, it might be fun for other people too. But yeah.